Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well for wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning in. Thank you ever so much for taking the time out of your day to join us today. And also thank you very much to Global Speakers Talk for having me here today. This morning, I was asked by Global Speakers Talk to share a real story, to share my story. And so rather than come prepared with a signature talk or speech, I've come prepared to speak to you from the heart, to share a real story, to share my story. And through sharing this with you today, I would like to draw some insights, some ideas, some key lessons that can be applied for us all so that we can enjoy and thrive in life. Let's begin. I'm Gary Rankin, life and mindset coach. I am 34 years old, and I would describe myself as very fortunate to have had a quarter life crisis in my early 20s. When I was 23, 24 years old, I was working in door-to-door sales, and I was making good money. And it was through the experience of earning more and more money that I realized, I'm not feeling any happier. I'm not feeling any more fulfilled in life. It still feels like something is missing. And this was the first thing that twigged in my mind that something's not quite right here. I didn't quite enjoy bothering people at their doors. I enjoyed the human contact, the communication, the relationships built. But it was always in the back of my mind that if I'm so good at doing this, but I don't enjoy it, there must be something better out there for me. But at that point in time, I had no idea what that was or how I could go about discovering it. And through my experiences in high school, I believed that without some form of degree or formal higher education, I might not be able to make a success of my life. And this is where I then began to question myself, wondering, well, if I don't know what I want to do with life and I don't know if I'll be able to create the life that I want, then what is life going to be like? And through this process, I got to a point where the relationship I was in ended, and I was then very lost. This big change left me thinking, who am I? What do I want for my life? What's even possible for me in life? And I didn't believe that without some form of formal education or a different life path, I'd be able to achieve things that I would like to achieve in life. I was looking around me at friends who were either just coming out of higher education or had finished higher education and were now climbing the career ladder. And I feared that these people were all going to become successful, to create lives that they wanted, and that I would be left behind. And at this point, I was continuing to emotionally eat. I was binge drinking alcohol and using some recreational drugs at the weekend to numb myself to the experience of life. And without having a direction to go in, without knowing what I wanted to achieve, I then began to judge myself, blame myself, asking, why can't I figure this out? What is wrong with me? Why don't I know what I want to do? And the thought of just going and getting another job or any job in order to pay the bills, that idea frightened me, because if I don't enjoy what I do, my existence will be miserable. And I felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. I then became anxious because I was afraid of the future. I became depressed because I wasn't happy with myself and with my life, and unable to work out how to solve this for myself. Being a man where in the world, in the west of Scotland particularly, men aren't taught to speak out about their emotions and experiences, one day my brain decided that the solution to all of my problems was to kill myself. And that's when the suicidal thoughts began. Because if I can't work this problem out and I can't achieve the things that I want, then what's the point? Just go up to the woods and this will all be over. And this thought actually gave me an escape. It's something that I ruminated on for a long time, for a good year and a half of my life, thinking, how could I do this without breaking my parents' heart because my family are so good to me. They love me, they support me. And one day, lying in my bed, I thought to myself, I just can't do it. I could not do this to my mother, my father, my brother. It would destroy them. It would be the end of their life, thinking that they had failed their son so badly that he had to take his own life. And at this point, I thought, wow, I'm really stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I'm not going to end it all, but I don't particularly want to or know how to go on. And I looked down at my rather rotund belly at the time, because I'd put on a good bit of weight from the emotional eating and the binge drinking at the weekends. And I thought to myself, hey, do you know what? This belly's not mine. And I know what to do about that. That's just one step in front of the other until it's gone. And so the bottle of painkillers I was looking at on my bedside table had my laptop sat beside them. And then I lifted my laptop, I opened it up, and I joined the gym online, booked in my induction meeting for the next day. I was now in action. And the next day, I went to the gym early, sat outside for a good 25 minutes before my induction was due to start, worried about what people in there were going to think of me, if I belonged in there, if I deserved to be in there, picturing that everyone in there was going to be fit and healthy and looking at me going, what is he doing in here? He doesn't belong here. I plucked up the courage to go in, completed my induction that day, went back to the gym again the next day, plucked up the courage to go in. And from that point on, I was in the gym 6 or 7 days a week religiously. It became my new form of escape. Now, I wasn't exactly kind to myself when I was in there, telling myself, you deserve to feel this physical pain and suffering because you deserve everything that's happened to you. And I didn't realize what I was doing to my mindset or my self-esteem at the time, but I was certainly driving myself to give all of my effort in the gym. And it was only 3 months later that I'd managed to go from a 38-inch waist and about 16 and a half stone back down to just below a 32-inch waist and about 11 and a half stone. Now, this was by no means a healthy transformation, but I'd managed to do it. And one day, as I stood and looked in the mirror at the new six-pack abs I had created, this was actually when I hit my lowest point, because I realized that although things had changed dramatically on the outside, nothing had actually changed on the inside. And now, any shred of self-worth or self-esteem which I had was completely tied to my new physique. I remember hearing the words in my mind, you've done it. And now you have to hold on to it, because to let this go would show just how worthless you are. From here, I then went on completely obsessed with my self-image, with being as lean as possible. And I would put on a front on social media, going snowboarding, mountain biking, hiking, trail running, and showing off this new love for fitness to the world. And as I did so, people would reach out to me and say, oh my goodness, what a transformation. Oh my goodness, you're doing incredible. Oh my goodness, this is so inspiring. Each and every one of them making me feel more and more like a fraud, because I still didn't want to be here inside. I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I still thought that my life was going to amount to nothing as a result of this. After a year going on like this, things all came to a bit of a head when my younger brother was moving to America, because I thought to myself, wow, my brother 5 years younger than me, he's got his life figured out. Why don't I have mine figured out? And my brother left for the States to pursue his career, and I felt more lost than ever. My brother, my best friend, one of my rocks, had just moved on. And I thought to myself, something's got to change. I've got to get out of here. But a weekend camping in the Scottish Highlands isn't quite going to cut it. And this is when I found out about season jobs. And I took a job for 3 months in the French Alps over the summer of 2016. And just before I was leaving to go to the French Alps, the voice of intuition whispered to me, buy yourself a self-help book. And I thought, a self-help book? What do I know about those? I've never seen one, read one, held one, don't know anything about them. But I listened and I went to Amazon, Googled, it searched for self-help book and bought the bestseller that day. It arrived 2 days later and off I went to the French Alps with this self-help book and a sense of purpose that I was going to explore myself and heal myself, not quite realizing that at the time. To cut a long story long, as they say, I spent 3 months in the French Alps reading this book, diligently and vigilantly applying everything that it asked me to apply. And day by day, I didn't notice much of a difference until one day I woke up, got out of bed, stopped my alarm and thought, things feel slightly different today. I feel slightly more optimistic about myself, about the world, about my opportunities. And from there, the growth was exponential. And only a couple of weeks after that, I had finished a long run in the French Alps and I was stretching off and an idea came to me. And I thought, wow, I know where all that stress and pressure that drove myself into the ground came from. And if I can change how I think and feel about myself, my life, and the opportunities in the world so dramatically just by changing the way that I think, then anyone can do it. And it's my responsibility to let the world know it. I'm going to become a coach. And that stress and pressure was the drive to thrive. But I had no direction to go in, nothing to thrive at. Therefore, I drove myself into the ground. And from that day on, I completed my coach training, my NLP training, and I'm now 8 years in business. And I would like to draw some insights from this for you to apply in your own life. Because the drive to thrive is simply that drive we feel for the possibilities of what we in our lives could be, for us to be fulfilled, to live our best lives, to give our best to the ones we love and the things important to us. And the first thing that's important is that we have a vision, because as the Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. And I was lacking a vision. And your vision doesn't have to be to change the world. It can simply be to change yourself, to make life better, to create the life and business that you want. And then is to get in touch with your core personal values, because your core personal values, being the things in life most important to you, will help to inform the highest version of that vision. Then is to create for yourself a sense of purpose. And again, this doesn't have to be a sense of purpose to change the whole world. It can simply be a sense of purpose to change yourself, to create a life aligned to your core values. You know, I believe it was Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. And with a vision for how you want your life to be that is aligned to your core values, with a lifestyle, habits, career, or business that revolves around these core values, you can create a sense of purpose for yourself that will give you that drive to have better, achieve better, be better, give the best you can to your loved ones. And this combination of your vision, your values, and your purpose is what will give you that drive to thrive in your life, in your business, in your career, and with your loved ones. And the beautiful thing about thriving is it's not an end destination, it's an active and ongoing process, and you can start that today. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. If you've been watching on the replay, please comment to say you've been watching on the replay, and we will get back to you. Have a great day, everyone, and take care. Thank you.